Welcome back to the Jeff Crilley Show. We're going to be talking about all things legal with Andrew G. You can find him at andrewg.com or uptowndwi.com. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Pleasure to be here.
Well, let's start. You during the break, you said, there could have been some people out there that were risking it behind the wheel, and you do a lot of DWI work. What do people need to know about driving while intoxicated?
Well, number one, don't do it. But if you do, go to uptowndwi.com and we can help put the pieces back together on Saturday or Sunday morning.
Somebody told me one time that by the time they get a DWI case, an attorney told me this, that oftentimes the person who was pulled over just messed it up for them. I mean, they gave the cops everything that they could possibly need to put them away for a long time or get them in some serious legal trouble. What are some common mistakes people make when they get pulled over?
Well, there are a couple of things that you can do. First, you don't want to admit to committing an offense. You don't want to say anything more than you need to. So as I always say, don't talk to the 5-0, but be polite, be respectful. Ask to make a call to your attorney. But at the end of the day, the police are pretty good at doing their job, and they're going to do an investigation, and you're going to have to participate in that to some degree. But don't cause any problems. Just call your attorney the next day and, work on seeing if there are any opportunities to, or what the best opportunities are to put your defense forward.
If the cop asks you to take a breathalyzer test in the field, should you?
There's an implied consent law in Texas, but you're not actually required to give a breath sample, so you can decline. Your license will be suspended, but of course your license will be suspended if you take a breath test and fail. Lawyers can usually get you an occupational license to allow you to drive to work or to school or for essential household purposes. So I'd recommend not taking a breath test if you can avoid it. Keep in mind, though, police in North Texas now are pretty good about getting warrants, and they'll often seek a blood sample.
I think people often become more confident than they need to be after drinking. That they, one of the popular things for young people to do is have like a Red Bull and a drink. So they're getting the caffeine and they're also getting the alcohol, and after a while they've lost track of how many they've consumed.
Absolutely. The first effect of alcohol is on your judgment, and that's what often creates a situation where you end up getting overserved.
Yeah. And I think people are often surprised at how much it takes to be legally intoxicated.
Or how little sometimes.
Right. So what is the rule of thumb? A drink or two an hour can get you intoxicated?
Normally, if you have had a good meal, you're a normal-sized person, you can drink a drink an hour for at least a few hours and be all right. There are some online calculators which you can use and get a sense of it. But typically, it's people that drink more than 4 drinks in an hour that wind up in problems.
Wow. Let's talk about the other areas of your practice at andrewg.com, and that's JEE. You handle all kinds. I was on your website. Everything from breach of contract, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. You handle a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so my firm specializes in civil and criminal trials in North Texas, and the lawyers that I work with are versed in all manner of cases, and we've tried everything from family cases, personal injury cases, business disputes, labor and employment disputes, and it's really a lot of fun to get in there and meet with clients and work with them on putting their best foot forward down at the courthouse. And that's really what we specialize in doing, telling a story to a judge or a jury.
Have you always wanted to be an attorney? Is this something you wanted as a child?
Well, not as a teeny kid, but yeah, I think when I was in college, I first got the idea that that was something I wanted to do, and I was fortunate enough to meet up with a great group of lawyers when I finished law school and got trained in trying cases, and that's really what I enjoy doing.
What kind of cases do you enjoy most? I mean, is the DWI cases?
Well, there's a lot of cases involve cars in Dallas County, so you'll see a lot of DWIs, a lot of car crashes, things like that. So that's a lot of what we do try. I certainly enjoy trying cases that involve other things, and tried everything from divorce cases this past year to federal criminal cases, breach of contract cases, things of that sort. But the best are cases, I think, that involve both civil and criminal wrongdoing. Those are often very challenging and a lot of fun.
Tell us what it's like to work with you. When you're meeting a client for the first time, what happens?
Typically, we want to sit down and get to know the person and find out who they are and what their story is, and then try and see what brings them into the office. What's their issue that they're dealing with, and then based on who the person is and kind of what their position is on the map, what are some potential solutions to get them from where they are to where they need to be.
And what is your personal philosophy on how you run your business? I know there are some attorneys that really just want to create conflict and run up the billable hours, but that's not you.
Well, I tend to think that gets your clients pretty pissed off at you, and they're not going to be your clients for very long if you do that. So normally there's already enough conflict in the world. So if we can, we try to minimize it and get things resolved efficiently and reasonably. But if the other side's difficult, then you always have to be able to go down and present your story to a judge or to a jury. And I think that's the best check on crazy behavior from the other side.
Tell us one of the highlights of your career so far.
I think one of the best cases I had was a year or two back. I had a case of a 10-year-old boy who was charged with really kind of an awful situation, but raping a stepsister who was 6. And we did some investigation and found a lot of problems with the case. And I talked to the kid and really didn't think he did what was alleged. I thought, in fact, it was impossible. And we couldn't get anybody to believe us. And eventually we went and tried the case and got him not guilty. And that was really satisfying to have a client who was at that time 11 and to avoid being essentially a convicted felon. I thought that was really gratifying.
Wow. Yours is, would it be accurate to call it a boutique practice? How many attorneys do you work with?
Yes, I would say so. There are 3 of us all together, Charmaine Voorhees and Jared Davis, and we focus on Texas trials.
What's the value of going with a boutique firm versus a larger firm?
I think a lot of times it's the relationship. In many cases, you do need a large national firm or international firm, but for most things you don't, and you're often better off having somebody that's going to give you personal attention and you can have a good relationship with and work with over a series of cases.
Are there some cases that you just won't take?
Absolutely. I mean, there are some cases that are in other states, they're outside our practice area. They're just things that we're not familiar with. There are certainly many areas that are very specialized that we don't work on, but I would say about 80% of the things that are down at the courthouse are things that we can usually help people with.
Outstanding. Okay, give us both your websites one more time.
So the first one is uptowndwi.com, and the second is andrewg.com, and that's ANDREWJEE.com.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll have to have you back.
Thank you, Jeff.
When we come back, a health scare gave birth to a new cosmetics empire. We'll talk to a celebrity beauty expert and entrepreneur when we come back on The Jeff Crilley Show.
You're listening to The Jeff Crilley Show on Talk Radio 1190.